Okay, welcome back from the break. Der er nogen. If you want to hear what we're saying, please put on the headphones. Okay, cool. So this year we're once again bringing the Applied AI Lunch talk concept to Digital Tech Summit. We did it last year as well. And the purpose of these lunch talks is to share insights on how AI is leveraged across various organizations, and the speakers for these talks come from startups, SMEs, and large corporations, and the purpose is to bring hands-on experience on how you can actually leverage AI in your organization. To host the session today, I'd like to welcome on stage Camilla Nørgaard Jensen from DTU Skylab.
Thank you so much, Camilla. I got mic, so no need for that. And you did such a good job of sharing about Applied AI Lunch Talks. I feel like my job is almost done, except I need to bring some wonderful speakers on board. I'm curious, how many of you have heard about the Applied AI Lunch Talks before? So, some of you? Cool. We're of course bringing it to DTS because we want an even bigger audience, because we think what we're offering, insights into how companies, startups, and the university are using AI, can be super useful for so many people. So it's a knowledge-sharing platform, and people can attend both physically. Typically, we meet at the DTU Skylab, which is DTU's hub for innovation and entrepreneurship, in the auditorium. So you can meet up physically, talk to the speakers, enjoy your lunch there, or you can join online. So somehow I'm missing a clicker. Here you see the full fall program for Applied AI Lunch Talks. We're at the middle session, which is why there's an extra QR code to get you in here. But the very last one, you can still sign up for with this QR code behind me. It's on December 18th, and we're going to hear from Danish Crown, how they use AI in-house. You can think about it as getting a look under the hood of their ways of using it. And also, we're going to hear from a professor from the Pioneer Center from AI. And she's going to be talking about how you can use AI even pre-birth. They have a startup called Prenatal. So without much further ado, I'd like to welcome our first speaker. I have to admit, I'm super excited about the lineup today. We have two female DTU founders. One, Oline, is from Acembee, and the second, Natasha, she is representing SKJOLDET. Both of them have won the DTU Startup of the Year, so that speaks to the quality of their work, and I'm super excited to introduce them to you. So, Oline, will you come and take the clicker? And give the first.
Yeah, okay, now I can hear myself. I couldn't hear myself before. All right. Nice to see all of you. As Camilla just said, my name is Oline, and I'm super excited to be here today because I've been invited to talk about one of my favorite subjects, which is AI, but also AI in construction. And as you probably know, construction is not really known for being the most digital industry that we have. How many of you here work in construction? Okay, there's only one. So then I'll have to brief you on how it is in reality, but maybe you have some idea on how it actually is. And that's why I'm going to talk about how we're using AI to help the construction industry and how this is actually a huge opportunity that we have right now. And before I move on to this, I want to introduce the company Acembee that I founded 4 years ago. And actually, we founded it out at DTU as a part of Skylab, or we were actually sitting in Skylab at that point. And when we started out, we didn't know at all that we were ending up in construction. But we knew that we really liked to work with these very industrial segments and try to help them automate or digitize tasks that wasn't digitized yet. And we were working with companies in corrosion protection, some in welding, some in construction, and we were a little bit all over the place. and found out that there is a limit to how much a startup can actually do. So we had to narrow it down a bit. And one day I called 4 of the biggest contractors that we have here in Denmark and asked them, if I can help you lower your electricity consumption on your construction site, will you then pay for it? And all of them said yes, and we haven't really looked back ever since. But we can still not avoid that construction is one of the least digitized industries in the world. McKinsey, they made a study that showed that construction is the second least digitized industry in the world. And now you're probably thinking, what is the least digitized industry? And I'll give you this so you don't have to think about that for too long. But that is, I think it was farming and hunting. So this is the least digitized one. And I think hunting, I'm not sure how they're going to digitize that one, but we'll see. And I want to come with an example. So how does this actually look like in real life? And one of the first times that Holger, who is my co-founder, we visited a construction site, we walked into one of these modular offices. Do you know what I mean when I say these modular offices? Some are nodding, some are not. It's like these. It's kind of like a containerized office unit that is modular, so you can move them around. It's the type of office when you walk in the doors, everything's shaking. And we come in, we're a bit nervous. We want to sell to this client. And they sit us down, they offer us cake, and we're like, yes, cake, that's a good sign. And there's no napkins, there's no forks, there's no plates. So we have to eat this very mushy cake with our hands. And when we leave, I have to use the toilet before I go. And we realize at that point that they haven't connected the water yet on the construction site. So we have to flush the toilet with a bucket. Where I have to go out, find the only place where there's water, fill the bucket and go back. And also there's no hand sanitizer, no soap, no water. And I was just sitting there 5 minutes ago eating that cake with my hands after shaking hands with everybody. And of course this is not the time to be fancy. It's actually, I'm not telling this story to show you that it's not very hygienic to be on a construction site. That's not my point. The point is that the reason why they didn't have water connected was because they were too busy. They simply didn't have time to do something that is, I would say, just basic human needs and making sure that that actually works. And I also remember that the construction manager told us that his only concern with us being there was that we were giving him more things to do. So why is it so hard? Why is it that they don't have time to even connect water? What is it that happens here? And I think this is really interesting to look at. I think my illustration changed a little bit, but I guess it's fine. So on the first here, why is it so hard? There is a really complex hierarchy. You have developers, you have engineers, you have contractors, you have suppliers, and they're all coming from different companies, making it really hard to know who to sell to. Maybe the person who pays for this is not the same person with the problem. And this creates some friction. Then we have the constant time pressure. Imagine you're being on this project, you're only here for 2 years, and your main task is just to finish on time. Then you don't really have time to talk to people like me. And also, they have very small margins. So there's not this willingness to get more risk in on the project. So maybe my solution will help them and give them less risk and higher margins, but they can't really be sure of that. And that's why they would rather just use Excel sheets, which is what they're used to, than going out and buying a completely new solution where they don't know for sure that it works. And I also just quickly want to highlight that if you have any technology that requires a lot of work to get working, if you need to be taught how to use it, so if the UX experience isn't great, then they will not use it because they don't have time to learn. It has to be really easy and simple. And this is, of course, what I'm saying here in the McKinsey study and all of that. It's a lot of words, so I wanted to give you some numbers as well. And I looked into, okay, legal, finance services, healthcare. How big a share of the market is the tech? So the tech share of the whole market. For example, legal tech. It's actually 3% on average, or it will be within the next couple of years, according to these studies. And when you look at construction down here, you see 0.05%. And when I talk to investors, they're like, sometimes, they're like, I'm not going to touch that, because can you see here? They're not going to buy any tech. But how I look at this is that this is a huge potential. And it's not only a potential for us, or for you, maybe some of you here are sitting and thinking about building a startup. It's also a big potential for the customer. Because these low margins, maybe there's something we can change. Maybe technology could be a way for them to solve it and do things differently. So that's also why I asked in the beginning, and if any of you are working in construction or know someone who is, because I think you should tell them this. Because this is a huge opportunity. They can go further ahead than any of their competitors if they implement some of these technical solutions that are coming. And I want to talk about why this is an opportunity, or why, and specifically why AI is an opportunity. Because I could have stood here 5 years ago and things would have been different. But the technical solutions weren't really ready yet for bringing a solution that solved those 3 problems that I showed you before. But now we are in a different space, or a different place. Because what is it that AI can do? It frees up time, the one resource no one in construction has enough of. Because it's no longer just a smarter Excel sheet, how they describe it, something where you tell them where to put in numbers or what to upload structure. It actually can do some of the job that they would have to do if they didn't have the solution. And second, it turns chaos into clarity. And what do we have a lot of on a construction site? Chaos. It's really chaotic out there with no order. And it can turn mountains of data into the insights that actually matter, pinpointing what is important for them to look at, so they don't have to spend time digging through all of that data. And third, it makes space for completely new categories. If we look at the graph before where we saw legal and finance and healthcare, there's so much tech in that space already. So you're already going in on a market where you're competing with digital solutions that they've implemented where they can build AI on top. But here we can actually build AI native solutions and implement it in categories that they haven't even seen before. And this brings me on to the next part of my presentation today, which is what is it that we're doing in Acembee. And I will try not to be too technical on the construction perspective. What does it actually mean? But instead I'll give you an example. You can see up here I said sustainability is a data discipline. We're working with the sustainability regulations that are coming or that are already out there. And there is so much data that need to handle. And I'll come with an example for you. So try and imagine that I told you in your home, for the next year you can maximum use this amount of CO2, some random number. Let's say 1.5 kilo CO2 per square meter in your home. And I told you that if you go above that limit, you'll be kicked out. They will take your apartment away from you if you go above that limit. And then what is it that you have to document? I want to know how much waste are you producing, in which fractions, how much fuel are you using, how much electricity, how much water, how much central heating, what are you buying, and where are you transporting those materials from? Did you just buy a new shirt? Where was it produced? How much water did they use when they produced that shirt? Imagine how complex this would be for you. And then that's just you, maybe your family. But here they have hundreds of players with hundreds of documentations, and they also have people that deliver data to them. That's what we do in Acembee. So instead of them having to look at all these different types of receipts and documents, they just upload everything into our system, we structure it, and we help them organize that and report it, making it way more simple. And I want to highlight some of the one of the first things that we realized when we built this product, and that is we cannot just make the AI do everything and then just close our eyes and give them the dashboard. it's really important that we have this human in the middle. Because what is important on a construction site? It is responsibility. It's really important. Who's responsible for this? And if an AI does all of this and makes a mistake, there's no one they can call. That's why we have in the middle here where you see our logo, it produces the data, but we actually makes it really easy with our UI for a human to accept every data, all the data that goes through. So it extracts it and then asks for a human validation. We have these steps. First off is data in. And here we also use the tools that they're used to working in. And what do they use? Well, a lot of emails back and forth. So our system can actually go directly into their emails and extract the information from there. And then one person has access to the platform and can accept things in there. So the AI reads, the person validates, and we get the report out in the other end. Much easier, right? If I gave you this tool, if suddenly our government put a CO2 limitation on our homes, I guess we would all like to have this. I would, at least. And I've tried doing it manually because I had to make the test data sets for our system. And I'll just tell you that I made a lot of mistakes. Our system then gives the user a live overview of their CO2 consumption. And here we focused a lot on making it easy to read. There's still a lot of improvement to be done here. If I ask our UI or UX developer, he would agree with me. There's a lot of improvement to be made, but we still try to make it really simple. So, for example, here you have the CO2 limit in the upper right corner. We have a red, green, or yellow, depending on whether or not we are staying within the limit. And everything is traceable. So if we want to see where does this data actually come from, if we want to dive into it, we can click on the data in the system and actually see the invoice or the document. It could be a delivery note or whatever that the data came from. And our system can then also come with suggestions for improvements. And this is where we started in Acembee, building these electricity monitoring and optimization tools for the construction sites. We still deliver that to the site as well, but we can then combine that with all these other data sources and help them lower the CO2 emissions at the same time. And the last point that I want to make before my presentation time is over, that is that we've built the solution together with the industry. Because our team, and myself included, I'm a software developer with a specialization in AI. Our team is the same. So we don't really know how it's like to be on a construction site. And I think this is really important to realize that we cannot think about these great solutions, build something, and then it will just work. We need to get that constant external validation that what we are building works. And that's why we've made very close partnerships with companies like ConTech, Eine Kornerup. And I wish that someone from these companies were here today, because I really want to also just thank everybody that's been involved with this. Because I think this just shows that all these hypotheses that I put out in the beginning, that construction is not ready for AI, they don't want to build, they don't want to use these tools, it's not true at all from our experience. We actually meet people that are hungry for solutions that can help them and make their life easier. And finally, I just want to give you this QR code. If you want to hear more about AI in construction, we have a webinar. It's free. You can listen to it while you work, just if you're curious to know more. It's in Danish, but if you're interested, then that's an opportunity. Thanks a lot for listening.
Thank you for a great talk. We're super grateful that you wanted to share about your journey. I'm curious, the stage at this point in your journey, what do you need right now? Are you looking for investors? Are you looking for talent? What could help Acembee move into the next chapter?
We just closed our investment round this summer, so we're not looking for investors, but we are looking for talent, specifically within software development. If someone sits here today is looking for a job in full stack development, then please reach out to me. You can find me on LinkedIn, because we are growing quite a lot in that part of the team at the moment.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We're also going to open up for questions from the audience. both you who are present here today, but also I have a colleague who's online. So if you're joining us online, you can just type in your question in the chat, and we'll ask it here. You're manned with a mic. Do you want to? Let's see if anyone have a question we can start out with. Maybe it was super clear. You were in the construction business. Do you have questions? Gotcha. Cool. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yes. I'm wondering if you have received any pushback on concerns from the construction companies on who has access to the results of what they're doing, because it could be that the data is not indicating really a positive trend towards what they're supposed to be doing. So could you talk about that, and how is the data private? And because I'm a designer, architect, urban designer, and I work in constructions all the time, and mistakes are made that influence data, and you don't necessarily want the whole world to know. So I know it's a sensitive subject.
No. I think it's a good question. I just so you think, because I think there's two sides of this. One thing is whether or not we can show their data, or if it's public. It's not public at all. From our point of view, where they share it, that's up to them, and they can move their data anywhere they want. It's not. We're just building a tool that gives them the possibility to log in. But then there's also all the security aspects, like who is it that then gets access to these documents if we're utilizing other tools in the AI stack. And of course we're doing that, so that's something that we always make sure that we are explaining clearly to our customers. And we are of course building it as secure as possible, but there is some limitations to it. We just had a customer who asked if we could do it on a server on their premise. And it's just, for us, it would be too much work right now for one specific customer to do something so securely for documents that are related to delivery notes or receipts. It's not any personal information. Yeah. Did that answer your question? Okay. Perfect.
Any more questions that have popped up? I see one down here.
Hey, thanks a lot for the talk. I'm a bit curious to know what was your journey to finding the first paying customer, because you didn't have a background in the domain per se. So I would imagine that you would met with a lot of skepticism, maybe.
I think when you come with the technical background to solve the problem, then it removes some of the skepticism, because maybe I don't understand the problem as well as they do, but I understand how to solve it from a technical perspective. And then also the way that I've been doing it is talking to a lot of people and asking a lot of questions. So I'm not going into those early conversations having a solution that I can present to them. For example, when I call a new customer, I would always ask, hi, I'm trying to build this. I think it might be interesting for you, but I'm still trying to learn. Would you be willing to do an interview with me, or just talking to me for 30 minutes where I can ask some questions, so that I can really understand if this makes sense or not, and feel free to be brutally honest. And this way, it kind of removes the feeling from the customer perspective that I'm there to sell them something, which I'm not at that point. And those early conversations then actually became customers later when we were ready. But just having that they feel heard is actually more important than me coming with all the answers. Yeah.
Hi. Can you mention a use case besides the CO2 environment reporting where you used AI, where you saw the quickest adoption rate? In which use case was that?
Somewhere where they can earn money off of it.
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah. Because the reporting it's something that they really hate doing, so that's why they want to buy the solution. But we actually found out that our product started seeing when they were built twice for the same work, which happened quite often. So the system quickly paid itself back. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but having something that can help them find mistakes so that they are not paying too much for services. That's something that they are really interested in. And then also our electricity controlling device, because we could save them more money than what they paid for our system. So they earned money from the first month where they installed it. Yeah. Thank you.
Do we have any questions online? Not today. I think we have time for one more question if somebody has one.
Myself. Oh,
perfect.
now I can. Awesome. Yeah, so as I understood, you pulled out the receipts from their emails. And if that was true, then I'm assuming there is some security or privacy concerns. So one thing is what people get access to at the end of the day, but you'd have to go and read someone's inbox in the first place to get those out. So just general curiosity, how did you handle that challenge?
Yeah, so I think maybe I was explaining it badly. I'm not getting access to their entire email inbox, but we are creating emails that they can then forward the receipts to, so they decide what we see. Yeah, but I completely agree. I wish we could do it the other way around, because we could probably find a lot of other things in there that we could use. But you're right, we would also get access to a lot of things that we probably shouldn't have access to. What they buy online, for example. Yeah.
Cool.
Perfect.
I think that's the amount of questions we'll have time for this time around. Please give Oline a big hand.
Thank you so much.
And it's time to welcome Natasha Hågaard to the stage. She is the co-founder of SKJOLDET, a DTU startup as well.
Thank you so much. And yes, I can hear myself amazing. Hi, everyone. My name is Natasha, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of SKJOLDET, where we are flipping things around of how we combat digital fraud. So instead of all the reactive measures that are out there, we have a proactive approach where we proactively detect fraud and we collect real-time fraud intelligence. And I just want to start up with a question of how many of you have received a phishing, mail, SMS, or fraudulent web shop? Quite a lot. And you're not the only one at all, because everyone can be a victim of fraud, and that's actually what kickstarted it is for us. One of our close friends got scammed for 20,000 kroners in a Broby scam, and she was really sad, felt really discouraged, and had to call the bank and cover 8,000 of it, and the rest she got back from the bank. But she was so sad that this happened to her, and as you can see on the statistics, she was not the only one at all, because this can happen to everyone. So we zoomed out of this problem and saw that cybercrime is increasing across the globe. $1 trillion, that's a lot of money, is lost to scams every year. And there's 2 billion scam victims globally. That's a lot of money, and it's a lot of people. And if we just zoom in on Denmark alone, 1 in every 3 Danes have been a victim of fraud or scam online. That's so many people, and the average loss of a fraud is 8,000 kroners for a phishing attempt and 4,000 for a fraudulent web shop. So it's really a huge issue that affects so many people, and currently who pays the price are the banks. At least financially, but also the companies that are being misused and the channels that are being misused in these fraudulent endeavors. And with the banks and telcos and other industries becoming more regulated, this also creates an opportunity for them to get ahead. Because the fraudsters and the scammers, they use every toolbox that they can. They use AI, they use all the tools, good or bad, out there. They don't play by the same rules as us. And that's where SKJOLDET comes in with a proactive solution, fighting good AI with bad AI, which is also the title of my talk here. Because normally you see consumers as one thing and businesses as another thing. But we see them as highly connected. And that's because what affects the consumers in the end also affects the companies. So we built a proactive fraud system where real users like myself or you out here get warned about fraud in real time using AI and algorithms to detect the fraud in real time on your device, and then alert you directly when and where it happens in the browser against phishing, smishing, fake competitions, investment fraud, fake web shops, whatever goes on the internet. And this enables us to collect anonymized, really important to underline that, anonymized intelligence of fraudulent websites that we can then use to sell to banks and telcos so that they can disrupt fraud on a higher level in the network or in the bank transactions. And right now we have 20,000 users, which we got in about a year, and issued 72,000 warnings. So this just is an evidence of how much fraud is actually out there. And yeah, luckily all our users, they're being alerted. But of course not everyone has our solution. So soon we'll also have pilots with a bank and a telco. So the core of what I'm talking about is using AI to identify these fraudulent patterns. And what are they? What do the fraudsters do? That was sort of what went into designing our system, because how do we evolve with the fraudsters? We cannot use static models, because the fraudsters, they keep finding new ways to go around it and things like that. So we went back and said, okay, what is it that makes a fraud? And one of the things that makes it is phishing. Is social engineering. That's one of the fraudsters' core techniques, because phishing relies and fraud relies on the human. It's we are human. We act impulsively, and we can make mistakes as everyone. So a crucial part of the criminal techniques is social engineering, and social engineering is also called hacking the human, which is really evident to what they actually do. And central to that is influence and persuasion, creating stress, creating a sense of urgency. So the way they use influence is to use a known brand. That could be using the DTU brand. That creates some influence because that's a really known university. Could also be persuasion, where you again use the DTU logo, but the center is the principal of the president of the university. And then 3, create a sense of urgency, which is a timer of if you don't do this by this time, you're screwed or something. And also greed is also part of it. If you see a competition online or an investment scam or things like that where you can get rich fast, that's also a part of the social engineering techniques and trying to hack the human. And we also saw, okay, what's psychologically going on behind this fraud? And there's, in the humans, there's system 1 and system 2. System 1 is the irrational little human in the stomach that gets emotionally provoked. We've all experienced that in traffic. If someone just rides right in front of you and you're like, what happened here? That's system 1 that's triggered by something impulsively. And then we have system 2, which is our rational system. Right now, I guess everyone is in system 2, rational, analytical thinking about what I'm saying, taking it in. But what the fraudsters attempt to do is bypass our system 2, our analytical system, and using the social engineering techniques to actually hack the human. So that's one of them. And then all these fraudulent, and then we try to map out what are the different frauds that they, of course, constantly evolve, but what are the frauds that affects people? One of them is fake web shop, where you never get the package, or you don't get what you were promised, it doesn't look like it, you bought a pair of shoes, it's like kid size, just everything is wrong. And there we looked at what could be the different patterns, what could we... Ooh, oh, it was just going down. What can we look for? And for example, some of the markers, there's so many, but some of them are a sad story about them closing the store. So they say, oh, we've been open for 30 years. This is a family legacy. And when you correlate that with the data that's out there, they've only been existing for 2 days. So yeah, no CVR number or using a fraudulent one. AI-generated images with deepfakes, all these kind of markers. And then also for phishing, targeting real domains, where they steal the UI from the real websites and they go straight to log in. The data harvest start the second you type something in. The second I would type my email address, Natasha@Skjolded, for example, they would already harvest that and have that as a, and then you're already compromised. And then there's a payment transaction later. So these are all patterns. Our AI-powered fraud detection enables us to recognize these patterns and identifying these unknown websites as they happen and then alert people proactively, because we needed an adaptive system in order to evolve with the fraudsters, because they constantly use new techniques, and what we've seen is that they now create these fake articles in looking like BT or Ekstrabladet or DR something, or Danish broadcasting, where they say Lars Seier, which is a known businessman, he invested 20,000 and that became $1 million or something crazy, but people fall for it because, again, we're just humans. So it's about being constantly aware of these techniques. And also when working with AI, because we sit in the browser as a browser extension, we both sit at a very sensitive place. But we also had some ethical considerations in regards to how we use it. Processing of sensitive information temporarily. We have we only process things temporarily, and as I said, make things anonymous. And this is to again stay ahead. What kind of AI models do we use? How do we train them? With what data? And also, what's our trade-off between blocking sites and just warning? Because we all know that AI isn't perfect. That's if we said that it was, we would be lying. There's nothing perfect, but it's a really, really powerful tool to identify fraud. But that can also come with false positives and overly sensitive system, or if there's unknown things that our models get in. So what do we do? And what we chose to do is only alert people, not block sites, because in that way it's up to the human eye also to see if this looks odd or not. Because we as humans are quite capable of seeing it. So in that way, that was our consideration there. So that was also really important for us when doing this. So very shortly, what we do is that we see a fraudulent website. We take the visual textual evidence, process it in our backend with our AI and different AI models and algorithms to then give an output to the user. And this is an example of a fraudulent Nordlys site, which once your has a fake bill for your money, and then this becomes a data point for us in our database to be able to disrupt fraud for telcos and banks on different levels. Because Skjolded has two core offerings. We have our detection, and then we have our intelligence. And our detection is free for private users because we also wanted to do something that was socially impactful. And then we use this knowledge of these fraud to sell to telcos. So for telcos, or cybersecurity companies or whatever, can use this as the most real-time block list, where banks, they can use this knowledge of the fraud to do payment fraud disruption. So if they get a data point from us of you should not let your customers send money here because this is a fraudulent Norlys site, and behind the fraudulent Norlys site there's a payment wall, and you don't want people sending money over there because then they would be part of a scam. And in that way, the benefit for the bank is that their customers are not compromised because they already know that they don't need to send money over there. So that's how, as on one of my first slides, it's a fraud system and a cybersecurity system where one user clicking actually helps everyone else, because if one of our users just clicks on one thing, that can actually help all that bank's customers who might have hundreds of thousands of customers. So for us, it's not about big data, it's about having the right data. And we have real users, which gives real intelligence and insights into what kind of fraud that's out there, making us both proactive, local, and faster. And that's what is our competitive edge, being faster, because it's a race against the fraudsters. They constantly keep evolving, as I've said. That's why we also need to stay ahead of them. And the good thing about our solution is they cannot see what browsers we are on. That would take a whole different type of hack, Apple getting hacked or something. So let's not hope for that. So yeah, and we're a really great team behind stopping it. Myself with a technical background from DTU, and my co-founder as well. And we're a really strong tech-heavy team too, which is really amazing. So yeah, and what we aim to do is using AI to get ahead, and also building this global shield against fraud, so we can stop it for everyone, which is also why we chose to make it for free for consumers and then make money on companies, because they are the ones who get blamed in the end. So that was it for me. And if any of you think this sounds interesting for an internship or anything, you're more than welcome to write me or find me on LinkedIn. So thank you so much for now.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Super insightful talk. Is this QR code a place to download the app, or how does that work?
No, it's actually for LinkedIn only. But if
Perfect.
you want to download the app, you can do it on App Store. You just go in and type SKJOLDET. We're out in the Nordics, and the app is in both Danish and English for anyone. So
Perfect.
Thank you.
So again, we're going to open the floor for questions from the audience, both here and online. But I'm also curious. I can open the ball here. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of other companies that are also priding themselves of fighting the fraudsters. So how would you say that SKJOLDET is set apart from those?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question. It's also something that we get asked sometimes. And one of the core things is that we don't need to know about the fraud in order to alert against it. And that's sort of the most important thing, because a lot of the solutions that are out there, they're reactive, and they rely on block lists or outdated block lists or web scraping the whole internet or something, meaning that the fraudsters have a window of opportunity where no one have reported them or found an abnormality. But because we detect it right when and where it happens, like this fraud attack, then that enables us to, when using AI, to actually alert without knowing, because fraud follows patterns, and those patterns we follow too. So
Very cool.
Really good question. And then of course, being faster and local. Our models are not big American ones. That only works in the US. We are trained on also local data so that we can get ahead.
Thank you. Do we have questions here in the room? We have one over here.
I was just curious about your business model, because I think it's really smart and amazing. And I was just wondering if it's something that you knew from the beginning that this was the way you're going to go, or is it something that you learned along the way? And how is it going with that business model? Because I think it's really well thought.
Thank you so much. So we actually didn't know from the get-go. We knew that we wanted to protect consumers, and first we thought, okay, maybe they will pay. And some people were willing to pay for the product, but people, it's like insurance. You don't feel like the sense of urgency that you need this. You know you need a housing insurance or something, but you don't really want to pay. In essence, you want to pay if your house gets robbed, but you don't want to pay beforehand. It was kind of the same, but so there we chose to make it for free, and then we were like, okay, who could actually benefit from our solution? We both had the detection and the data, and then we talked with different companies, and we could see that the telcos, they were beginning to be more and more regulated and needed to do something about it. So we could say, hey, we have this very real-time data of the fraud that's actually affecting Danes. Don't you want it? And they were like, oh, that's quite smart. And the banks too, because they lose a lot of money. They use across the sector, only in laws, they cover 627 million, and that's without administrative costs. So they also had quite a large pain. So we actually found out those pains along the way. Our focus in the beginning was just making an amazing consumer product. So yeah, hope that answered. And it's going well. We're beginning to onboard the first project with companies, which we've worked on for the last couple of months. So that's really cool to see that idea, vision, and business model actually coming to life.
So it sounds like you already have paying customers. Are you also raising?
So close.
Yeah.
Yeah. They haven't signed yet, but they will.
Are you also open for investors?
Yes, we're going to do our first investment round next year, because this is not a local problem, it's a global problem that everyone is affected by cybercrime, which is also why we need to get out over the European borders, the Danish borders to the rest of Europe, and actually help people be protected against this fraud. And we've also talked to international organizations about how to do that, so that's the next steps for us.
Yeah. So you're going to teach them how to say skjoldet?
Yes. Or yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, we are. We are going to teach them skjoldet. People we've been very conflicted. Should we rename it, or what should we do? But people really like the Nordic-sounding name. It has some schwung to it, the Nordic mythology and things like that. And people also see Nordic and Scandinavian things as really trustworthy. So that's a plus. So yeah, but we will, when we launch in Sweden, we call it SKJOLDET, and in Norway it's the same. But in France, for example, it's SKJOLDET. In German, I can't remember, but it's SKJOLDET, the German word. So that people actually know what they're looking at.
What they're dealing with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. Let's see, do we have more questions out there?
Can I ask one?
Yes, you may.
Do you know the percentage of the fraudulent websites that you catch right now?
Yeah. For the consumers that we have on board, we have 20,000 users, and I've seen like a handful of sites we didn't caught, but out of the 70 million scans we've performed, it's very few, and then we try to learn from that. But that was mostly in the beginning. Our issue is actually the opposite, is that sometimes there becomes false positive because people have really weird websites where they ask for very sensitive data without any authorizations or something. So a lot of things becomes suspicious for our models. So we actually have the opposite problem of sometimes learning a bit too much, but it's fine. It's an adaptive system. So yeah, we actually have the opposite problem. Yeah.
It's a better safe than sorry.
Yeah,
approach.
exactly. Yeah.
Definitely. Do we have any questions online? Were there anything we did not ask you that we should have asked you?
I don't know. If you're a data analyst or something, you can do an internship with us. We always need someone who can analyze the large amounts of fraud data that we have. So yeah, and mapping them out.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
from a non-technical person,
Yeah.
is there any way you could have built this solution without using AI?
So I would say for the detection part, I don't think we could do it without, because in order to stay ahead of the fraudsters, we also need to use every toolbox we can, of course, ethically. But I don't see our detection without AI, because without it, we would be at the same level as the existing solutions who are constantly holding behind, trying to catch them. So I don't see that we could do it without. But yeah, it's the detection part of it that's AI powered, and we built everything around it from the ground up. We luckily have a DTU background, so yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Here you go.
That was what we had for you this time around. And I'm really grateful to Oline and Natasha that they were willing to join us today at DTS. Next time, the Applied AI Launch Talk is going to move back to DTU. It's going to be at DTU Skylab on the 18th. And you're all invited and welcome there. You can also join in online if you prefer. If you have to stay at work instead, you can scan the QR code here, and then we'll send you a link so you can participate online. And you will still have the opportunity to ask questions even if you're online. With that, it's all from us. Thank you so much for joining, spending your lunch break with us. I hope you can still find some good food out there. See you later.